The broker has a pitch. Now you get a CPA. You found a laundromat. The numbers look decent. The broker says it's positive cash flow. The location seems solid. You're excited. Let me ask you one question before we go any further. Did you verify the numbers yourself? Or are you trusting the person who gets paid when the deal closes? Because those are two very different situations, and most buyers never notice which one they're in. I'm Jason Schmidt. I'm a CPA, and today I'm going to show you exactly what a business broker is not required to tell you when you're buying a laundromat and what the actual costs are if you find out too late. I want to be clear about something up front. I'm not here to tell you brokers are bad people. Most of them aren't, but they operate inside a system where their financial incentive is for the deal to close, not for you to get a fair deal. That's not an opinion. That's just how the commission structure works, right? So when a broker hands you a one-page summary with revenue figures and says the business is asking $350,000, your job is to understand exactly what's behind those numbers. And most buyers have no idea how to do that. Let's start with the one number everyone focuses on, the asking price. Here's what most buyers don't realize. The asking price on a small business listing is almost never derived from a formal independent valuation. It's usually calculated by the broker based on a multiple of what's called Seller Discretionary Earnings, or SDE. Now, SDE sounds official, but sometimes it's not always accurate. SDE is supposed to represent the total financial benefit to a single owner operator. That means net profit plus the owner's salary plus any personal expenses the owner ran through that business. And that last part, personal expenses, is where things get creative. Sellers add back expenses like cell phones, vehicle mileage, meals, travel. Sometimes those add backs are completely legitimate. Sometimes they're inflated. Sometimes the business paid for things that had nothing to do with operations. When the seller says the business earns $120,000 SDE, your first job is to verify every single add back, not accept it. Verify. If you don't, you might be paying a $350,000 price tag based on $80,000 of real earnings. Here's the mistake I see constantly, and it's one that we rarely talk about. There is a legal and financial difference between buying a business and buying assets. When you buy a business, you're buying a going concern, active customers, proven revenue, operating systems. You're paying for the cash flow it produces. When you buy assets, you're buying equipment, a lease, maybe a name. But the business itself, the revenue, the customer base, the operational momentum, that may not actually exist anymore once you buy. I recently worked with a woman looking at a self-serve car wash. Seemed like a solid deal until we noticed it had been closed for 3 years. She wasn't buying a business. She was buying a building and some machines that hadn't run in 36 months. She needed to evaluate the deal as a real estate purchase first. What is the property actually worth? Then assess the equipment. What does it cost to bring it back online? What is the realistic revenue ramp up timeline? The broker never explained that distinction. It changed the entire financial picture of the deal. Before you make an offer on that laundromat, or any business for that matter, you need to answer this question clearly. Am I buying an operating business or am I buying assets? Because the valuation method and the financial approach, the risk profile are completely different. Let me give you a short list, not comprehensive, but things that come up most often when in deals of under $500,000. First, the reason the seller is actually selling the business. Brokers will give you a polished answer, no doubt. Health reasons, retirement, moving on. Sometimes that's true, but sometimes the seller knows something you don't. A lease that won't renew, equipment at the end of its life, a neighborhood shift that's already killing foot traffic. You have a right to ask directly. You need to pay attention to what they don't say. Second, the actual condition of the equipment. A laundromat's revenue depends entirely on the machines running. Washer and dryers have a lifespan. If the machines are 12 years old and the seller hasn't disclosed any recent service records, that's not a minor detail. That's potentially $50,000 to $100,000 in replacement costs sitting right behind the purchase price. Third is customer concentration or lack thereof. Laundromats typically have foot traffic. That's different from a service-based business with 3 clients representing 80% of the revenue, which is a problem in itself. But you still need to know and understand traffic patterns. Where is the nearest competitor? And whether there are any anchor draws, like an apartment complex, that are nearby and stable. Fourth thing, what the lease actually says. I'm going to do a full video on this alone, but now understand that a laundromat is only as valuable as the lease it sits on. Assignment clauses, rent escalations, personal guarantees, the broker will not walk you through these. You need a CPA and an attorney looking at the lease before you ever make an offer. Here's your 3 practical takeaways from this video before you make an offer on your laundromat. 3 things. Number 1, request 3 years of tax returns directly from the seller, not financial summaries prepared by the broker. Tax returns don't lie the same way summaries do because they're filed under penalty of perjury. Summaries are marketing documents. Number 2, ask for a complete list of equipment with age and the last service date. Then look up the replacement cost for that equipment independently. Factor that into your real acquisition cost. Number 3, get a copy of the lease and have someone who knows what they're looking at before you even make an offer. Not after, but before you make the offer. Review the lease. These 3 steps alone will eliminate most of the bad deals that buyers walk into. If you want to go deeper on any of this, the exact questions to ask a seller, how to read SDE the right way, what to look for in a lease, I built a community specifically for buyers like you. It's called the Firewatch Business Lab on school.com. The link is in the description. Come and ask your specific questions there, and I will answer them. Buying a laundromat can generally be a good investment, and I'm not here to talk you out of business ownership. I'm here to make sure you go in with your eyes wide open. Real numbers, not the broker's version of them. Next video in this series, I'm going to show you the one number that determines whether any business is worth buying and how the sellers manipulate it. It's right here on the screen. You do not want to make an offer without watching it first. Remember, it's not about finding a deal, it's about avoiding a bad one.